Well, welcome back from lunch. I have that dubious honor of being able to talk to you guys after you probably filled your bellies and that slow transition back into presentation mode and getting back into conference mode. So I understand that role. I've done it before, and I'll try to keep you guys awake if I can. I'm Micah Orloff. I'm the co-director of That One project. Anyone know what That One is? Familiar with That One? Done anything with That One? Okay. For those that are not familiar with That One is a Chancellors Office project, a grant-funded project that set out to provide technology training opportunities to the faculty and staff of the California community colleges. I think several years back when they decided to put together That One, the goal was originally to provide technology training in terms of the product that the Chancellor's Office provided to you as a service. That was the original goal. It's like, okay, well, we're providing ICT Confer, we're providing 3C Media Solutions, we're providing these different products, and so we have to be able to train people on those products. So let's use this, group to be able to go out there and provide that type of training. As time went on, the group recognized that, well, in addition to training on the tools we have, there's a lot of technology tools that people are using that may have nothing to do with our technology. And to be able to have to put the pressure on the individual colleges to provide the training for their entire institution, when we could probably do it at a statewide level and help out and allow them to leverage some of that, made a lot of sense. And so over time, we've depending on the work plan during the different 5-year iteration of the grant, it's focused on different things. For example, at one point early on, it focused on information technology training. Richard, right? Richard pointed out that he, participated in that one event a while back on Active Directory training and focusing on how to use that. We've done lots of trainings with IT for IT professionals at the California community colleges, focused on deploying enterprise operating systems across the entire enterprise or institution. Getting prepped up for the next client release, things like that. We've done a lot of that. However, in the last 5-year iteration, we really focused on, we saw a trend towards online teaching and online education, and wanted to make sure that we had faculty that were going to jump into online education, having a comfort level with jumping in and really using research out in the field as to how to be a quality online instructor. And so that's been a lot of our focus, and That One has focused a lot on developing, based on the research body, standards that we train in our program for that. But I got to tell you something. I've been a part of That One, I think, now for 7 years, and before that, I was involved in IT and ICT Education as a teacher.
Where are you headquartered?
Oh, sorry. You're right. We are located at Palomar College with ICT Confer with 3C Media Solutions. It's basically the statewide projects, and Palomar College is where it's hosted at administratively. For the online teaching focus of the grant, where I'm at is Mount San Jacinto College, and Pat James and myself kind of coordinate those areas of that part of the grant. However, for MSJC, I've been involved as an ICT educator and teaching online and networking fundamentals, computer applications, and you guys are dear to my heart. And this is my group. And what I've noticed in the past few years, because of such focus on online teaching, that we've kind of pulled away from the IT side of it. And I don't think it was necessarily because we wanted to just focus on online teaching education. But what it was is that in a time where the budget climate was not focused, we needed to find ways of leveraging technology. So that's a little bit about the project. A little bit about me is that before working with this group 7 years ago, I was involved at Mount San Jacinto College in information technology, supporting their distance learning network of systems and the community portal, as well as an ICT educator teaching network fundamentals and computer applications, both traditional on-site and online. So one of the things That One is really trying to focus on is there is a challenge that we have to, that we're involved with, and that is that there are 2.4 million students that are addressed by
a lot of different people in the system, about 85,000 employees. That's including faculty and staff and including faculty, staff, and administrators. And the idea, and I think when Paul walked in, we kind of chatted about it a little bit, is how do we support that? And so much innovation going on at the different areas in 112 diverse colleges. How do we support that and bring innovation across the board? I mean, I'm assuming you guys are enjoying some of the sessions you've come across.
How do you market this? Maybe I'm jumping apart. Force ahead a card or card ahead a but how do you market this to the faculty, and how do you decide what courses to offer?
Great question. And I'll answer it right now. But one of the things that we do is we do a year-end program, annual program survey, and we try to find out what kind of technologies they're interested in. In most recent years, because of the budget cuts, we had to trim back and focus, like I said, on the online teaching effectiveness and that was all about. But I wanted to reach back out to this group, because again, you're dear to my heart, to find out what we can do to try to ramp back up. So large group, right? And there's innovation occurring all over the state. You guys are seeing it here at this conference. You've been in sessions, you're like, wow, that's really cool what you're doing at that institution. I came to MPIC last year and I saw that you guys were working in China with a group, and you brought the kids out, the students out, and they're here, they're excited. That's awesome. And the way you guys are using the system to build that logical network between the two, that's awesome. Now, outside of people participating at MPIC coming here, there are some ICT educators in our system that aren't able to, come to MPIC, even when they're so gracious in providing stipends or, scholarships to get out here. How do we do that? How do we share what innovation you're doing out there with other people that can't make MPIC or different conferences like this, especially in a time where discretionary travel budget is getting cut? Probably the same technologies you're using to communicate with those students across the board, right? Across the pond. And so that's where At One is trying to focus right now. It's trying to use those same statewide tools that are already available to us and try to leverage those technologies in an effort to showcase innovations that you guys are all doing across the board.
Okay. Do you have a website list of faculty? Do you market through like MPEG? I mean, how do you market your classes?
So the primary marketing that we have done is that we've used two different primary platforms. We have a subscriber list. Once you participate in one of our events, you typically have gotten some kind of promotional communications from us before. Secondly, we do have access to Goldmine, which is a software that I guess it connects with a lot of the different listservs throughout the system. And we use that, At One hasn't used that as much. We use it for like our online teaching conference, different things that are a little bit larger because of the amount of people involved in the amount of subscribers to that list. And then we do go to individual listservs at a time. But I've been chatting with people at MPIC right now to try to see how we can communicate with the people in the
CTE deans and directors would do this.
Exactly.
And then we get to the faculty.
Yeah. These are the things we want to hear because, yeah, exactly. We used to have a group, the CETC ambassadors. I'm not if you guys remember that. You were an ambassador, and so the goal behind the ambassadors group program was that we'd have an ambassador at each institution or district, and they had some goals that they had to identify. But they'd get together, we'd meet like monthly and talk about the different statewide projects, and we'd really use them as a champion at their local institution to promote some of the things. Well, as the budget acts came down many times, that program disappeared as well. And it was sad because that was actually a really good outreach, because it's great to have, sometimes our emails, if you don't know us, you look like another vendor. And we're not. We're a part of you. We're the system. But when we have a champion from your institution that comes up and says, hey, I use this tool, I review this group, and they're legit, then it works a little bit better. But these are things that I want to chat with you guys about anyway to find out how we can do that. But back to this, the innovation part. Because we're not going to be able to travel to 20 different places, 112 different colleges to find this out. We come to conferences, right? These are ideas that I want to be able to chat with you guys about. So we've been leveraging some of the technologies, though, that we already use. Our approach has been through three different primary staples of our program. We do it through desktop webinars. Those are typically going to be used for your clinic, your quick one-shot lunchtime, get a boost of information about something that's coming up, Windows 8 deployment coming up right now. Boom. Talk a little bit about that, some of the things that are coming down the pipes of that. So we do desktop webinars. Those are done through CCC Confer. How many of you guys are familiar with that? Okay. So CCC Confer, you might even see there's a little yellow bar across the top here. It's actually app sharing the desktop right now so that people that might be participating online through this MPEC conference can see this, and it's being recorded as well. The idea is that this kind of technology, the people that can't come to San Francisco today that are listening in on at MPIC can participate still in this session. And because also this is recorded, if they can't participate today, at their leisure, they can come back and watch it. The idea with using that technology to talk about different ICT topics could be something that we want to jump back into. We did it a couple years ago with the CISOA group, Chief Information System Officers. They sponsored about, I think, 6 different webinars focused on different security topics, NIST topics, different strategies for PCI compliance. They did a lot of things that they focus on. But obviously ICT Educators is a different niche, and they have a different approach to those things. So maybe what we need to do is talk about how we can get a series of webinars for you guys in that regard. Second program style or delivery method we use is online courses. Now, online courses are different from webinars in that they could be, well, I'll talk about it a little bit more when I get to the slide, but they're asynchronous or synchronous. They typically have more interaction over a period of time rather than just a clinic of information that's being sent to you, and it's a lot more interaction. And the last part is Trainers Bureau. The Trainers Bureau was a program that we set up a while back where we try to bring people who have these expertise or subject matter information, and we bring them to, we have like a database of them, and when people need something of a specific variety, we try to go to this Trainers Bureau and deliver that out. We've been getting more that service is becoming more popular as people are realizing, I can't travel to the conference, I can't get to this location, I can't do this. And so what they're able to do is they come together, they set up a Trainers Bureau so that we come to them, and that's where the training takes place. Saves a lot on discretionary travel budget. You can train more people for less cost, and we're seeing a lot of it right now, specifically because of accreditation cycling. So what they're getting back for recommendations is, oh, you need to have strategic professional development initiatives. How are you doing that? And because they have a short turnaround, guess what? They're coming to people that are already doing it so that they can just get it taken care of. So that's the 3 different staples we use. So the first one basically that we're talking about, again, is CC Confer, the desktop webinars. These are lunchtime webinars that we deliver throughout the semester. We're trying to ramp back up. We used to do 60 a year. We've cut that down dramatically because of the budget cuts. But we're starting to level off. We're starting to be able to leverage the technology better, leverage our resources better, and then we think that we can ramp back up and try to serve you guys better. So the desktop webinars they're powered through CC Confer and the Blackboard Collaborate tool. And so what you can do is, here is like a perfect example. How many of you guys participated in that YouTube session here at MPIC? Any of you? Okay, well Donna was doing the YouTube session earlier, right? Yeah, video creation. Well, Donna sent something like that for us, but instead of having to come to MPIC to learn about it, they were able to learn about it right from the comfort of their own desktop. Okay, you can see Donna's still there, just like you saw her at the front of your classroom. You see all the people participating in it. These sessions are moderated, so you don't have to worry like, oh, I got a question, how am I going to ask it? She's so busy. Instead, the moderator comes in and watches the Q&A session, interjects when she can, and it really works out there. There is commentary and information dialogue going on in the chat window. You can app share, as we're showing you right here, and she's showing you how to do some YouTube uploading, and then this is actually the part where she's captioning her YouTube videos, and so she's showing you how easy it is to caption a video. And what we do is we actually archive and provide closed caption for these webinars. So the idea is if you're not able to sit in live, guess what? You're still going to be able to participate later on if you want to get access to this. We also upload these to our YouTube channel, so they're available anytime. You can actually pull them yourself and remix them and put them on your own site. So there's lots of different things that can be done with this stuff. But the idea is that we want to be able to provide some of these that are focused more on the things that you guys are looking for. A lot of times the concepts and sessions you guys are handling right here at MPIC. Okay? Online courses. So I was mentioning earlier, the online courses, we can handle those both synchronously and asynchronously, meaning, you know, we use course management systems where you learn on your own. I mean, there's a facilitator and there's deadlines and stuff like that, but you actually go through the readings at your own pace, your own time, instead of having to be online at the same exact time with the instructor. But we also can do synchronous, where we would use a similar tool like CCC Confer, and you're actually there with the instructor, but instead of a 1-hour little webinar, you actually can get into some detailed 2 to 3 hour, you know, hands-on activities. I know that sounds weird, like hands-on, but we're on at a distance. But everything's cloud now, right? You can access all these different tools through the cloud or through virtual infrastructure. So in essence, if you're trying to learn something on, you know, you want to test drive Windows 8, and you want to get access to a virtual machine, that's what's great, is you could still deliver this here. You'll be in your own office or somewhere, and we can actually do this training with you and give you access to the virtual machines to handle it. These courses are typically completion, so there's evidence at the end. You know, instead of the webinars where you're actually just kind of listening and going through some things, these type of courses, we're going to ask you to do something at the, you know, deliver something at the end. Either you're going to go through the different exercises and it'll show that you completed those exercises, or you'll produce something and it'll be actually evaluated by the facilitator. So often there's evidence at the end that you can showcase. I mean, we give you a certificate of completion, but you actually also have typically evidence that showcases that you've been through something. We use this format a lot with our certification program, our online teaching certification program. So instructors go through this program to learn how to be better online instructors or learn how to instruct online more effectively. And as a result, they're not just taking classes, they have to deliver, they have deliverables that they create. You know, they have to establish certain policies, design and effectively design online learning units, talk about different practices that they do, and they're all structured in a portfolio that they actually showcase to evaluators at the end. So we really focus on evidence-based evaluation here. Well, what that means also then is that these courses are typically, we provide professional development credit for them as well through our partner, Fresno Pacific University. So through Fresno Pacific, you know, you can take the class and then get the optional credits for whatever purpose you might have that for, salary advancement and whatnot. That is available. The other thing with the online courses is we typically don't just focus on training you on the technology, we also try to apply the pedagogy as to why you're learning about this technology. So, you know, we're talking about CCC Confer, we're not going to, the class isn't going to be just about, oh, so this is how you use the whiteboard in CCC Confer. It's going to be, this is, the whiteboard can be used to deliver instruction and show how students can actually interact on the whiteboard and what would be the value or purpose in that. It's going to be focused on this side with technology being the supplement rather than technology for just the sake of technology. Okay. Our course management system is typically like Moodle if we're doing it through an asynchronous container. If we're doing it through just a synchronous container, it's probably going to be CCC Confer. Okay. The custom training is something that we started to see a little pickup with, and that again comes back to the accreditation needs. That comes back to, well, we're not getting enough attention at the, or enough information or data that shows that we should, with considering cost, it being cost effective, produce this for the entire state. But I'll give you an example. There was a Windows 7 deployment, right when Windows 7 was coming out, there was a deployment need. And there was 2 institutions that were really interested in this deployment need. The others weren't. I guess they had other, you know, goals and stuff that they had going. But we had 2 institutions up north here in this area that wanted training for their IT staff on how to deploy Windows 7 across the enterprise. Well, they came to us and said, look, you know, we really want to do this training. We need it. But I only got 6 people that are going to get trained. And I don't know if I can send them out travel-wise because it'll just cost too much. You know, you're looking at $2 grand a person at least just to get them out there and then train for 3 days, right? So what can we do? Well, we can bring them out typically for the cost of 1 person going out to corporate. We can bring a person out to do it for up to 25 people in your own classes. Well, they only had 6. And even though it was already cost effective, they were like, well, but you know, we only have 6, is that going to be okay? And we're like, yeah, that's fine. However, there was an institution just a hop, skip, and a jump down the way that was like, man, we need a training like this. Well, guess what? I said, hey, we're hosting it over at, you know, College A. You want me to ask if you guys can just participate in that? And they thought, yeah, of course we want other people from other institutions to participate. Now you got the networking part of it where, how are you guys handling, you know, these issues, you know, these security issues? How are you handling BYOD right now? You know, how are you guys, and then the networking goes beyond the walls of the college or the district. So we're seeing a lot of these custom trainings, and I have another slide that talks about one of the strategies that we can consider. Often they're multimodal, so that means, you know, it's not going to just be face-to-face, or it's not going to be just online. It might be blended where maybe you're doing things face-to-face, but then you go home and you work on the virtual, you know, homework, you know, activities. So we have that. And then, of course, again, because these kind of trainings, we typically will have professional development available, credit optional and available for potential uses of salary advancement or whatnot. Any questions on the Trainers Bureau? So here's some things to consider. This is where I really want to get into more dialogue than just me talking here. Is one of the concerns that we really have is we're a very small grant. And what we do is we're better at leveraging technology to find out where the real innovation is taking place, like over here, like over there, and how to bridge that and bring you guys together. Okay? So some of the things that we have looked at is like partnerships. And what we mean by that is we looked at partnerships with different corporate vendors that provide these type of things and see if we can subsidize what they would normally provide to you if you went out to the corporate level. And we've been in some discussions. And, you know, it's kind of back and forth. They want, obviously, access to you because they figure that they can't have access to you if you don't go to them directly. And in this budget climate, it's really hard to do that. And @ONE has provided these type of trainings in the past, heavily subsidized. So you get out there for 3 days of training, and it's, you know, $100, $150, and it's the same type of training. There's like a Microsoft official curriculum that you would pay $14.99 for. So it's kind of like that approach. We've gone to these partners because the one thing that we have trouble doing is hosting those things effectively now because of the cost associated with them. They already have the virtual infrastructure up, these partners. And so we're saying, can we come to you and set up a partnership where we'll heavily subsidize what you're doing, and in return you get, you know, or you discount for us, and then we subsidize the rest, and then you get access to the faculty. And so that's one option that we're looking at, and I'd like to get your guys' feedback on that in a minute. But other partnerships that, you know, I mean, some of the people we just talked to today, you know, you got NetLab Plus, you got NetApp, lots of groups that are getting their virtual infrastructure up, but they can't host it because of licensing issues on their own for all the groups. They're looking to partner up with people to support that. So that's one thing I want to talk to you guys about. This one I think is we can do right now, and this is what I really want to see what you guys are thinking about. Showcase innovation. You guys are doing something awesome with the students in China. Anyone who came to MPIC last year probably heard about it, you know. The ones that were in the room that day definitely heard about it, okay? Those that possibly went online and listened to the archive afterwards might have heard about it. But even then, that's still a drop in the bucket of all the ICT educators in California community colleges. And let's go beyond that, really. Let's talk about higher education segment in California. And the truth is, we can always pull them back. We just got recognized by DECI, the Directors of Educational Technology for California Higher Education Group. They're an organization, 25 years. Basically, they recognize us for kind of the initiatives that we're doing. And this recognition, the people on their board are from the CSU and from the UC system. So they know what we're doing at the California community college level, and they want to be able to participate. Well, they're doing great things too, but we often don't hear about those things unless they're participating in, you know, conferences like this. So but the great thing about technology is that we can leverage that technology and do this. I think that there's a much larger group that would love to know about what you were doing with the technology and the students in another. So as a matter of fact, our college is doing stuff with another country, and we were like thinking, how are we going to get this going and get this started? Because you're at Ohlone, right?
Yeah.
So we had been chatting with Leslie Bueller because we had been working with her before they even set it up, kind of like talking about how it's going to happen and how it's going to work effectively. Innovation across the state is happening, and we just got to find out how to get everybody in tune, right? And that's about the marketing. You're right. It's about getting that information out. Who knows what? Who's doing what? That's why I come to your group right now and ask that we can try to figure out that. Maybe this kind of showcase innovation starts soon. If we can do this easy, we can provision webinar sessions right away and knock those out and try to get the group to participate in those at least. Another thing is we want to know. I mean, we're putting out information, but we want to know, so we've got to come to the right channels. You guys are those channels.
We need to find out what industry needs, not just always what faculty wants.
Yeah, absolutely.
They can be two different things. It could be one and the same.
And you guys typically have advisory that you go to.
Well, each college, and sometimes per Perkins, each pharmaceutical program, each college is supposed to have an industry advisory group for every program area, which is a lot of advisory groups. If they're working within the region, they can do it as a regional basis, which saves industry and faculty from being spread so thin. So the thing to hook into would be these regional advisory committees in your region, and you find that out through your Perkins dean director at the college, or the vice chancellor of the district should know about that. So there's one of those for sometimes every campus, region, and that's a good start.
All right. Great. That's kind of feedback we want to hear on that, because we're getting back into supporting you guys in that, vein. So we want to make sure that we know where we're getting the information, because we don't want to put on something that doesn't meet the needs that you guys have and what the industry has. So the other thing is kind of what we talked about just a second ago, is that sometimes there's institutions that have the same needs across the way, but they can't support bringing out 2 or 3 people. So how do we do it? Well, kind of in the same vein of co-locating technology and stacking, hardware in the same IDF or something like that. Maybe what we do is co-locate training, right? We bring 2 colleges together, 3 colleges together, have maybe 4 or 5 people that are involved and need the training. Not a whole group, but they have 4 or 5. If we can stack that into a training where they kind of, we subsidize it, but then you guys, have a piece of it too, then we can put on that training where if we didn't have enough people, we wouldn't be able to do it. So it's one of those ideas too where I would love to chat with you guys about. I know that people are kind of now talking about what's the next deployment cycle, or what's the next, client to have to prepare students on, or application. And having the training for the ICT educators is what we want to be able to do.
Your best structure, this is what I think too, is to do it on a regional basis and use the regional consortium as your geographic basis, because they have a tremendous email network to that region. That would be, you can reach a region in depth.
So of those three sections that we talked about, of those 3 different staples that we were talking about, because those are the 3 that we kind of like focused on right now, is doing like clinics, webinars to showcase innovation, actual like courses that you would go through for competency, and or those custom training options through the Trainers Bureau. What would you, I'm kind of, and we have a smaller group, so you guys can probably just talk it out, but I was using poll everywhere in case there's a different, larger amount of the group. You can come to this website on your computer and pick one of those, and it'll come up on the screen or whatever, but I'd love to know.
Question now, do you have these webinars and online courses on your website now that people can just go in? Are they available?
Yeah, we have about 100 and I think about 110 that are up there now. Now, most of those webinars are showcase innovation. They're not so much, I don't want to say they're specific to ICT, because we train on a lot of different technology needs. A lot of ed tech focus, just like ed tech in general, and how to leverage ed tech in instruction. So you could be teaching sociology per se and still leverage ed tech for that purpose.
we have some that were like clinics, like, you know, Windows 8 or Windows 7 networking and security was one of the segments. I don't know if some of you guys heard.
That's meat potatoes.
Yeah, we've done those kind of clinics because we were ICT Academy, and we were actually several years back, probably like 6, 7, 8 years back, we went to Microsoft IT Academy and we said to them, we said, look, you guys usually use this academy structure for students, but what if our students are faculty? And they're like, oh, well, we never considered that before. And we go, what if our faculty students were of an entire system? And then they're really like, whoa, wait a minute, you know, like, how do we get our piece at every college if you do that? And we're like, well, how do you get the marketing that you need to get for it? And we were able to be I guess we got an exemption from Microsoft IT Academy at the time so that we can provide these kind of clinics using Microsoft official curriculum and stuff at the time to do that. We're still an IT Academy, and we can still do these things. The question becomes, and what I'm noticing as I sit in these sessions, that a lot of these alliances now are providing the faculty training portion of it for free. Because they know if you guys are buying in, then they are going to, then you're going to go to your people and say, we should be in an alliance, or we should train on EMC, we should train on, you know, NetApp, we should train on whatever, storage, you know, solutions. The idea is that because the training is all available, we just need to be able to find ways of getting that information out. And we can be that kind of channel. So far, we got a couple people voting. They like the online courses, obviously. And those are the kinds of structures that we can do. And oh, got some custom training.
We're just voting right here because it's easy.
Huh? Yeah.
But we vote for more than one.
Well, for this sake, I only put it for one because I wanted to see what you guid out of this little group would best see cross, you know, tell me. So, like, for example, you know, like, no one's necessarily selected the webinars yet. So to me, I wouldn't want to spend my time necessarily trying to ramp up webinars if I knew that they weren't going to be something that you guys want.
Webinars, you have to have time available when they're offered.
Yeah.
You can't go back and look at it at 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Well, someone needs to record it, then become an online course.
Well, let me ask you that. So if the webinar is recorded, let me ask you that. If the webinar is recorded,
then you can do it.
Well, but let me ask you though, would you do it? Is what I'm asking.
Yeah, we're involved with the Cisco Academy program.
Okay.
So they have their own infrastructure.
Okay.
And Aloni is one of the training centers.
Oh, okay.
But they have a whole selection of webinars that are available to our instructor community.
Okay.
And that's often, I think 90% of the time, that's where I'm at.
And if you watch them archived, huh?
Well, just to go in, get what I need, fast forward, get to the point where I'm looking for something.
That's what I really think the ticket is the fact that you can on demand jump to the spots that you need. So we have these webinars in archive, but they're in the Java applet of Converted. We've been extracting those and putting them into our YouTube channel, making them a little bit more, because I don't know if you know, I mean, they're now doing something, an interactive transcript on YouTube, where it shows you all of what the words that are being spoken, and as it goes through, and you can do a find and replace and get to the spot you need. And I think they're actually going to start parsing and indexing those words as well, so it can be searchable. So I think that's where we're headed with that kind of approach.
What is the website for At One?
It's onefortraining.org. I have it on my last slide here.
At One?
Yeah. The next thing I would like, I'll do here is, and again, this is all about dialogue, is at some point, we don't need to actually show this, but at some point, there's an open-ended survey field in this one. I'd love to hear, you know, specific topics that we're talking about or things, you know. It says here, like, you know, what kind of topics you'd like to be covered. Rather than give you, like, you know, categories, I like to hear the specific, like, topics, because those are the types of things that I can go research and try to find out if it's something that we can, you know, invest more time in, because then I can find out at the different institutions, you know, how they're feeling. And like you said, regional coordinators, I can go to them with these topics that you guys are bringing to the table and telling me, you know.
Well, like Windows Server 2012, right? We're all going to be ramping up to that in this future, so that would be, you know, a great. And I know that's not going to happen, you know, all around this model. You know, push every 3 years kind of thing, or 4. But you know, that would be absolutely awesome. So
So Windows Server 2012.
And then things like the Network Plus, the Security Plus, as those are updated.
Okay.
Like a delta between the old and the new.
Got it. So like the delta between the certification curriculum.
Right.
Between cert curriculum.
I agree with the regional consortia. I think that's a really good one. And there's reason for us to be talking with those folks because they tend to have a fair amount of funds available. We have to deal with those folks through, because of the Perkins stuff that most of us tend to be qualified for. So that connection makes a whole lot of sense. I can only second that.
A while back, we went through the BSAC group. You guys remember BSAC? Yeah.
BSAC is just one of the collectors.
Yeah, there's one, right? Yeah. So I need to find out the full listings of What's that?
I'm the statewide lead for all the Perkins leadership collaborative consortiums.
I can talk to you, Ray.
I mean, I'm not just one of the many things they put on this jobs I have, but it's one of the hats I have to wear. So.
Well, yeah, and I'm glad that you came into
I
the
can
session.
help you reach a market.
Yes.
And through that, you can get the questionnaires. You can get, like he says, Windows Server 2012, Windows 8. These are meat and potatoes courses that back then when you had to teach, you know, to speed.
Got it.
And I used to teach campus.
Yeah, because what we were doing before, and again, I think what had happened with that one is it was following a certain level of training and provision, right? And then at one point they were ready to say, well, I think because of where this budget's headed, we might need to trim it down a lot. And when that happened, the administrative unit actually moved from one campus to a new campus, and the new campus was like, well, we're going to stay trim until we can figure out how to ramp back up. Well, being an ICT educator myself, I'm ready to ramp back up, and I remember the things that I went through as an ICT educator to learn more. As an MCT, as a certified trainer, I would go to the deep dives, the online MCT clinics that they would have, where they would use same kind of technology. They leverage, the different webinar interfaces to do that, and obviously it would be like Windows Live, but we want to be able to get back there and serve that group, because I think that was what happened here. One of the things for sure, though, is I really want to talk about some of if you guys have presented before at MTech, or if you have a topic that you're doing and it's kind of different and it's something that you guys want to share with others in your field, I want to talk to you guys, because I want to be able to at least start with showcasing that innovation in 1 hour. Yeah.
Well, I was thinking, for me as a distance education coordinator, it's a little different than what's been mentioned here, but sometimes I have a hard time convincing our faculty that you can teach math online, you can teach history online. And so some of those innovative techniques and pedagogy that instructors that are around the state that are doing that are successful, and I think that would be really helpful to some of us, because not everyone is embracing online course development. I mean, I know in our area they're not. So.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point. I mean, and I think we've done that in the past, but obviously we got to market again what those innovations are. Some of the things that we've done in the past, now that we're coming back out again and stuff. Because
a lot has changed. Some of the technologies have even gotten easier, better, and
We'll do that. I mean, we want to showcase that type of innovation. So thank you, because that is a little bit different from what I think the rest of the groups would be considering, the meat and potatoes stuff.
How much have you mined your own data? I mean, by now you could have accumulated a fair amount of knowledge there.
Yeah.
Have you really gone in and synthesized what you already have? And kind of put it into packages that, once again, somebody who is looking to teach math potentially, here's some things that are related to this. Here's one for you. Have you had a chance to do that kind of stuff?
What's really tough, and this is the hard part, is because this has been an iterative grant that has gone from a different administrative unit to another, data that has been with another group, sometimes it ends with that version of the grant. Yeah, it's really a frustration. So I don't want to say that's that it's all gone. I mean, there's stuff that we can still mine, and I think we can gain more data from. But we've noticed one of the mechanisms for really getting to the meat and potatoes of what's happening out there and what you guys need is as Paul's pointing out, getting up to different regions and what they're serving over there, and those are the kinds of things that we want to be able to flesh you about.
Okay, anybody trying to navigate your website?
Okay. What you looking for here?
It's that's stuff by topic, but your topics aren't the way that a lot of times ICT programs break down.
Got it. Yeah. See, these are the types of things that we want to know, because you're a niche that, you know, that
computer basics and information tech, I mean, they're all the same thing.
Yeah. And
you know, too much overlapping, and it might be good just to have a big page of just topics you can scroll down.
Yeah.
Can anybody sign up and take these? Can anybody log on and take these courses? Or is it limited to you have to go through a question to make sure you're a college faculty? Or
well, for the webinars, no. For the webinars, anyone can, if they stumble on our site, because we're not really losing anything in that. For the online courses, we actually have a charge to serve primarily California Community College audience. However, we also have the ability as secondary audiences to support California public education, then outside California public education, and then others, which would be, you know, any other group. And usually they're tiered, so, you know, it costs more for them to participate. Okay? Yeah.
Well, I have another idea. It's kind of like what the mentoring did. It's train the trainers.
Yeah.
Because it's all just maybe having a train the trainer, so people in different regional areas can have this area that, you know, level of expertise, and they can go out and train others. That's what we talk about a lot. I need to go to training now so I can train others.
Yeah. One of the goals that we are looking at is, because you're familiar with our curriculum with the online teaching certification, is we want to be able to, we believe we're at a point now where while we'll continue to serve the certification locally, we believe that because the content is open and we can give it to you at your institution or your region and have you guys sit in on the trainer session, that you would be able to use that curriculum locally. And we believe that that's where we want to head. And the reason why is because as much as we enjoy serving the state structure, the truth is you have much better, you know, outreach at your local institution and or district and or region than we do at the Chancellors Office, because sometimes they don't know who we are. Yeah? So, okay, so let me see. So Paul, we'll be chatting, just so you know. Yeah, excellent, thank you. And yeah, so the other part is for you guys as well. I mean, you're ICT educators and you're learning a lot of subject matter, and I don't know how many of you guys are distance ed, like online teachers and stuff like that. Okay, so a couple of you. The other thing that we have been focusing a lot on this is actually developing quality online education instructors, and I think that sometimes that goes without saying. People think, okay, well, you know, if I learn my course management system or with the technology I'm using, I'm going to be a pretty good online instructor. But there's a lot that goes into it, and the research shows that. And what we've done is we've taken the research that has been developed into standards by a group called the North American Council on Online Learning, and we've developed curriculum around it. And we try to prepare online instructors through that curriculum so that they know their subject matter, and then on top of that, they know online teaching pedagogy, effectiveness, you know, and how to deliver it. So that's already available to you guys. I would share that with you in this group. If you go to the website, go to online certification, it has a little logo like that. You'll be able to learn a little bit more about that program and possibly, if it's something that a skill set that you're looking to develop upon, and different tools, technology tools that are out there that you can leverage for the teaching and learning enhancement, as opposed to just the subject matter enhancement. Feel free to do that. But in the end, this session is really just about, oh, you have a question?
Well, I was just wondering, cloud computing, are you going to be doing anything with cloud computing? It seems like all of this content for the last 2 days, and for educators that you might not think we're going to deploy cloud computing, we're not in the IT department, but we need to know about it, because Adobe is going on the cloud, there's Skype, there's all kinds of applications Educator, that's IT directors and workers.
They have an IC series right now, cloud computing done right. It might be good to have the basics. Basic of the cloud understanding, cloud computing, the basics of virtualization.
Would you guys be more interested now? Looking from looking at that poll you guys took, you said online courses are kind of the focus that you would like. Would it be more around that, like an online course format, or would it be better the basics, like done kind of like how those YouTube videos are like, this is the basics of cloud computing, and it's like a real simple. Of course.
So you're going to have a basics for people in business who work with IT that need to know what is cloud computing, what's virtualization, what's new in Windows 7. And then you need the in-depth stuff for IT instructors from Richard, who here's the latest Windows 8's out there. And I need a good overview of the come up to speed with Windows 8 because I'm going to have to teach you to use it.
Mm.
So you need 2 levels probably. I don't know what I haven't see is cloud computing done right. I don't know what that means. That the basics is a.
When you click in, is there there should be a description if you. Yeah.
I don't know. Done right.
Yeah.
Like setting it up.
Some of these titles are from the previous again. So we'll look into that a little bit. But
here's what we have various conferences with different entities around the state as well. I know, for example, I've done a presentation like for a virtual conference last summer somewhere. Mm-hmm. But they're all in these different places.
Different places.
So I'm not sure how much, from a permissions perspective, or right specific, you could be some kind of a central starting point for all these other various resources.
What we typically try to do, and what we've done with these webinars anyway, is that we let the people know when they present. We say, hey, look, when we provide this webinar, we provide it under the Creative Commons license of attribution, and I think attribution and remixing, so people can actually take it and distribute it as their own with a remixed section. So usually when we ask presenters like yourself, we say, hey, will you do a 1 hour with us to showcase this innovation across the state? We let them know that this is how we're going to license it, and if they're okay with that, then that's where that model works really effectively, if we have it centrally located here. And we're seeing a lot of benefit out of that with the other segments of higher education. They're coming to us and saying, hey, we want to take a look at this. Oregon, we had somebody from our community college system to end up being an administrator in Oregon, and their distance learning consortium ended up coming to us and saying, hey, you guys got a lot of webinars that I remember I used a lot before. Can we still access those? And I'm like, yeah, I mean, they're just archiving. We're throwing up on YouTube channels, so it's all about the openness of that. But what I'll ask is, let me see here, if I can get a piece of paper. Since you guys were in the session, I would love to get from you name and email so I can chat with you guys more about things you want to see, just you personally, so I can see how I can shoot your name and email address there.
I think you should train.
Okay. Thank you, Paul, for the information. I'll definitely set up with you.
Yeah. It would be great if you have a resource to be able to get out there.
Great.
Nice to see you.
See you, Paul. That's going on. Any other questions, comments, concerns about what we're doing here?
Mike, I just want to comment. What do most people like as far as the type of training? I must say that I like a blend of, I don't like to just, I shouldn't say this because I used to teach online classes, but when I'm being trained, I like a blend of face-to-face, webinar, a little bit of online, almost like the flipped classroom concept.
Yeah.
I know what to call it, but I've always liked that modality. And so it would be nice if we could have some training that maybe incorporated both the online, but yet also the synchronous live conferencing. And I don't know how that would be structured. And I know you do that. I mean, I don't know what you do, but I know you have online, and I know you have webinars, and I've been on both.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, I really like what the Chancellors Office is doing with the PE coordinators. And the fact that we spent 3 hours that one you were on that one training. It was such that, like you said, that 3 hours of life was up. It was so nice to be there live synchronous and be trained about some of the kid laws and about the things that go on.
Yeah.
I like that blend.
So you, by your definition, that's a blend, because it's live, it's synchronous, it's live, there's communication and interaction going on.
Yeah, but probably some follow-up, like application is always helpful. Maybe even some free, here's the classroom.
Yeah.
Prepare yourself for this particular training, kind of like what we want to do in class. We want to prepare the students so when they come to class, they are prepared. And then assess how did you apply this, what can you do with it, product or some kind of application afterwards.
Yeah. Now, with the VA coordinators group, you guys have been kind of like the pilot for what we want to do with other types of educators, because as you remember, you guys have a monthly VA kind of coordinator meeting you guys go to. And then once a year, we've been trying to follow up with something where you guys meet together. It's kind of a lot like the model that we did with ambassadors, where you guys meet together. And were you there at OTC last year?
I did not know they had a DE retreat. I was involved in the @1 training, the collaborative session. I found out afterwards. So
70 people got together and they did this. They developed an evaluation rubric for the accreditation process for distance education. So it's those kind of things that I think if we could bring heads together, we can do this kind of event. And but yeah, I think that's where we're headed a little bit more, is more of the live synchronous, because I think that's what people are addressing more than the asynchronous. Because I think with live synchronous, there's a commitment right away that they have to kind of say, I'm here for 3 hours, so I'm gonna, instead of, oh, I can check that out but later, okay,
And then you just think.
Exactly.
Get back on that online class.
So that's definitely a model that we're trying to explore a little bit more, and I think the ICT educators will benefit from that most, because you can't be in your office and have students coming in and delivering. We want to kind of do almost like a regional thing where you still have to go somewhere, even though it might be still delivered at a distance, so that you guys are together, you can network together. We're talking about it. But I'm going to go ahead and disconnect here. Thank you for sitting in on the presentation, and have a good rest of your conference. One more session, guys. Thank you.